All right, welcome to the class. We wanted to do this thing about hope because it feels like there's so much hopelessness going on right now. And, we wanted
Mm.
to help you guys to restore hope. But, then we were just like, all right, fuck it. I'm kidding. We have we have a great show for you tonight.
Just
Uh,
give up.
we
That's what
will
we decided.
we will restore your hope by the end of this,
Just kidding.
one way or another.
We will
Uh,
restore your hope. That's our hope. It's our
yeah,
hope that we'll do
that's our
that,
hope. Exactly.
We don't know for sure, but that's what we're hoping for.
We never know how the class is going to come across because that's the nature of this medium. But we 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 just aim to change two people really, and that's ourselves. So
God, don't tell them our secrets.
okay,
What
well
are you
now you
doing?
guys know. Now you know our secrets. It's out there on the internet.
Oh,
The perfect place
man.
for secrets.
Darn it. I have a few more.
Yeah, good, good. Me too.
Okay. Okay, okay.
My name's
Okay,
Dr.
good.
Astar Bear. My co-teacher here, Leah Schaefer. We do this class.
Hello.
This is an introduction to heart rhythm meditation, a method of meditation that comes out of Sufism, the Sufism of Hazrat Inayat Khan. And, Hazrat Inayat Khan really had a lot to say about hope. And he said, hope is life. It's that important, right?
Mm.
So when we feel a sense of hopelessness, that's an important indicator, right? And it's not something to beat yourself up about, right? But it's kind of like when you feel stressed, when you feel exhausted, when these are associated with feeling down and feeling hopeless. Or I should speak for myself, right? For me, they are, right? Um,
Mm.
and so I don't treat that as like, oh, I'm all of a sudden perceiving reality accurately now. No, I see it as just like, well, my heart is exhausted, my energy is low. And that happens, right? Life is a struggle. It's not always easy. I'm sure that's not news to y'all.
Yeah. Thank you, Asatar. And I've been noticing I've just been noticing a lot of this type of energy around, when I go places and like really observe my environment. I've just noticed that there seems to be a lot more of this kind of feeling of down energy or this feeling of like hopelessness. There's a certain like spirit that's like almost missing, like that like spirit of hope or like that spirit of like optimism. It seems
Absolutely.
that I just think it's part of the times that we're in that we've been kind of pushed to our limits in a lot of ways, many of us anyway, in the last few years.
Right.
I have a comment. Life under late stage of American capitalism. Yeah.
Very challenging, no
Yeah,
doubt.
very challenging. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
I like this
And
comment because it's not just about us individually, right? We
right.
live in a society, right, as they say. So,
Yeah.
and we have limits attached to that, right? Like everyone has to make a living. How much of that takes up your time and energy, right? And gives you less
All
time
of
to
it.
do other things. How much does it exhaust you, right? How much does it, you know, does it give versus what it takes? And so, that's
Yeah.
definitely like a challenge that we all deal with, right? Um,
Yeah.
so thanks
Yeah,
for that.
100%. 100%. And I know a lot of people have been really pushed to their brink. But I studied psychology in my undergrad, and there's this study that they do with dogs. It's actually like a super sad study. I'm not gonna even talk about it. But but they basically, the thing about it is that like hopelessness is something that we learn from trying. When we're hopeless, it's because we have tried something and then it doesn't work out, and we try something again and it doesn't work out, and it's like we get this
Right.
feeling like, oh, there's no way out of here. But I think the main thing I want to get across is like it's literally a learned behavior, and so it's something that is not innate and is not essential to what is inside of you and who you are innately inside of you. And so by through this meditation that we'll do this evening is like we're returning back to that essence. We're returning back to our heart. And when we return back to our heart, that hope is already there because it's life itself, you know? And
Right.
even if you just look at the spectrum of one day, you know, like the morning, afternoon, evening, every day there's complete change every day. And so why would an unfavorable, like why would we not hope that an unfavorable circumstance would be able to change? You know, why
Right.
wouldn't we hope for that?
Right.
And so yeah, so I just wanted to like really nail that on the head, right from the get-go in this session tonight, because I think it's just essential. Because it's like if we give up hope within ourselves, we're certainly not going to create change, because we're going to buy in to that whole messaging, you know,
Right.
of not being able to be empowered, not being able to create change within ourselves and within our communities.
There's another piece of that too, I think, that's about self-respect, because when are in this hopeless place, you're overlooking what you can do, and
Hmm.
like we know, look, the individual, it's like we can change certain things, right? I mean, we have the most leverage within ourselves, right? I mean, that's the person that we're most likely to change, right? Is ourselves.
Yeah.
But it turns out that changing yourself changes a lot of other things, because we're part of a whole network of relationships, right? So, you
Yeah.
know, one point of that changes and the entire network changes, and what kind of complex effects might come out of that, right? Um,
Mhm.
so when we say, like, there's nothing I can do, things are not going to get better, they're going to get worse, right? All of these kind of hopeless kind of messages, we're not taking into account our own capability for change, right? And how that then has an impact on others, right? And we know that even like a small piece of progress, right? Even like one step forward towards a journey of 500 miles or whatever, still gives you that feeling of moving forward. And
Mhm.
that, even that one step gives you hope, right? So your emotional state is just like, it's variable, right? I mean, it changes a lot. um,
Mhm.
and that has to do with, like, well, do you stick with the journey, right? Do you keep on taking steps forward? Uh,
Mhm.
so
Yeah, exactly. And I love this saying, you know, it really, so if all you can do is crawl, then start crawling. So like there's always something that we can do to go towards our ideal. And it's
yeah.
not that we're trying to be blind or not see the reality, you know, like, or it's not that we're trying to be disconnected or dissociated or detached from reality. There's no spiritual bypassing happening here. It's more about like seeing everything, experiencing everything, and like and facing it, and then like if all I can do is crawl, I'm gonna start crawling, like
Yeah.
point blank, you know, because there's always something. There's always something small, even if it's a tiny baby step, you know,
Right.
or
Right.
just not even a step yet.
Yeah. Maybe meditation allows us to raise our sights up. Yeah, I think it does.
Absolutely,
Yeah. I
absolutely.
mean, that's part of why we do it, right? To give us a more expanded sense of ourselves, and of the life around us. We need that, right? Because we get so fixated, on like our narrow field, right? The things that we understand mentally, which is, right, very limited. There's very few things we really fully understand, right? So that the now I have another comment. Maybe meditation lets us rise above the capitalist mindset to allow to change. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We need that, right? We need a
uh,
broader mindset. We need to get
yeah,
beyond the idea that, like, the few
yeah,
should be in control of the fate of many millions of people. So
yeah. And you used, I think it was Mario, you used the term rise up, right? So lately I've been really enjoying this kind of mantra. It's not enough to wake up, you have to rise as well. It's not the waking, it's the rising.
yeah.
And rising up, what are we rising up toward? Our ideal, you know? And like we have something before us that is our heart's desire, something we really, really want. And that's what creates this oil for the flame of hope. It's the deep rising up inside of us of an ideal, something we want to bring into fruition, something we want to bring into form. And meditation, I think, allows us to access all these parts of ourselves so that we can remember, so that we can feel that inner life wanting to come through, wanting to be born and created through us.
Yeah. Well, we're getting a lot of comments tonight. We got another one. Lack of
Yay.
self-care under capitalism could turn you into the Joker. Yeah, very true, right? Can't improve our society without being in a good headspace yourself. Yeah, that's true, right?
Absolutely.
We can't just come from a place of negativity, right? We have to
Yeah.
we have to bring that hope and inspiration from within ourselves, even when it's kind of like a lot of society's kind of grinding it out of us, right? So, that's a real challenge, um,
Yeah.
and we don't want to just come at it from the perspective of the individual, right? I mean, there's more going on than that. But when we're in meditation, right, we're mostly dealing with the self, right? What is our own response to all of this, right? And that's the thing that we have the most leverage over, right? That's the thing that we can most easily change. um,
Mhm.
well, so let's do some meditation then, and
Okay.
we'll try to get into this. So we want to you know find a posture where you can sit in an upright fashion, so that your center line is straight, is upright, um, so that your weight is resting on your sits bones. Um, I'm sitting in a regular chair which has a back, but I have a little cushion, kind of like you know in the crook of the chair, just to give me a little bit of space there, right? So I don't have my back is not touching the chair, um, and we want a posture that's upright yet relaxed. Now, if you're sitting on the floor, that's going to be a little bit different. Sit in a way that's comfortable, but you want your back to be upright, because we want that energy of the upright posture. Um,
Mhm.
but we also want to try to be relaxed within that, right? Because we're going to be sitting still, and you want to be comfortable. You don't want to be under strain all the time in order to just keep yourself in your posture, right? Um, so oftentimes sitting in a chair is easier for that, unless you're, pretty flexible, right? And then sitting on the floor might be an option. Um, I mostly sit in a chair myself. All right, once you've gotten your posture together, and you can see Leah has a beautiful posture here, you tune into your breath, and we want to make certain interventions in the breath. We want to first of all breathe deeply into the belly. So a good way to just practice this is to place your hand on your belly and just feel your belly rising and falling. And when you do this, it brings you down into your body, because where your hands go, your thoughts go, your attention goes. So now feeling your belly rising and falling with your breath. Breathing in, letting your belly expand, and breathing out and feeling your belly contract. Now, if this is as far as you get with meditation, this is still pretty good. You have your upright posture, you're breathing into your belly. This triggers your parasympathetic nervous system, the relaxation response, with falling heart rate, falling blood pressure, falling levels of stress related hormones in the body. We'd like to go a little bit further. We'd like to slow down the breath as well. So let's focus on breathing out a little bit more than you're used to. Just squeeze your abdominal muscles a little bit more. Make your breath cycle slower. And then breathe in and extend it on the inhalation as well. So as you breathe in, just breathe in more. And allow your breath to really flow and make it very smooth. You want the breath to be smooth, silent if possible, deep, and we also like it to be rhythmic. We want the breath to be the same length on the inhalation as it is on the exhalation. And we have a wonderful way within ourselves of doing this, and that is by focusing on the heartbeat and bringing that into rhythm with the breath. And so you might try moving your hand up to your chest now. You still want that feeling of the belly expanding and contracting with the breath. But now add a focus on your physical heart, and especially look for your heartbeat. We want to bring the heartbeat into rhythm with the breath so that we have the same number of beats on the inhalation as we do on the exhalation. Now, some people find this very easy to do and can feel the heartbeat quite easily. If that's you, that's great. Having a hand often helps, even placing two hands. I know it's a little bit, we're not used to holding our hands like this, right? But try it out for a few minutes and just see if it adds to your focus here. If you're struggling to feel the heartbeat, it's common. Some people have a difficult time feeling it. No judgment, right? Either way. Now you can press with your fingertips on your breastbone here, and maybe you feel the heartbeat in your fingertips. You feel your pulse, and that's fine. We just want a sensation that we can use to make the breath rhythmic. All right. Or sometimes just having the palm there is enough. All right. You can also curl your hand around your other hand, and maybe you feel your pulse in your wrist. So if you don't want to do any of these, if this aren't working, you could just imagine, right? Just count to yourself. Just imagine how fast do you think your heart is beating, right? It's probably more or less accurate, right? So feel the rhythm of your heart and bring it into rhythm with your breath. And this has some wonderful effects. It has the effect of bringing your attention to your heart emotionally and energetically. And by your heart, I mean what you value, who you are on a deep level. What are your principles? What do you love? Right, all of that. That is all held in your heart. And it opens to these universal emotions that are way bigger than just our individual small self. It opens to an experience of the infinite. Now, the last step in this process is to make the breath full, all right? So we have so far made these interventions. We have made the breath deep, that is, allow the belly to expand and contract. We have made the breath slow. We have slowed down the breathing rhythm. We have made the breath rhythmic, same number of beats on the inhalation as on the exhalation. And we make the breath heart-centered. That is, we are considering that the breath is feeding and nourishing your emotional and spiritual heart, the core of your being, as you breathe. So breathe into your heart. Allow your heart to be nourished and revitalized. And breathe out and allow the energy of your heart to expand and move out into the space beyond. As you slow your breath down, you'll be doing more beats. So you might do, for example, 8 beats in, 8 beats out. See if that's a rhythm that you can maintain. If not, you can do a little bit shorter, or perhaps you could do a little bit longer. As you tune into your heart, you might notice that your heart contains sadness, that your heart contains pain, because everybody's heart has been wounded. There's no one alive who has not known some kind of pain in their heart, some kind of wounding. And that's okay. And you might also notice that there's something which lifts you up, that there's an energy here, a power here. Because what is hope? What is faith? What is optimism? This is the belief in the invisible, the belief in the inner world, the world of spirit. And why should you believe in that? Why should you believe in what is invisible, right? Like because I said so, because Leah said so? No, right? You should believe in something because you've experienced it, right? Like, do you believe in love? I mean, maybe, right? Well, I can tell you really believe in it when you felt it, right? And then you're like, wow, okay, that's real, and all of a sudden, the things that people say about it, or that are in the songs, right? And all of a sudden, they're like, yeah, wow, that really hits hard. I feel that. That's real, right? You don't have to, you don't have to talk yourself into it. It's real, right? So we want that same. That's what we're looking for, right? This is where real faith comes from, right? It comes from an inner experience of the invisible, of the unlimited, right? So tune into your heart and just feel what's there. Try to accept it with open arms. Maybe it doesn't feel all that hopeful right now. Maybe it feels very painful. Maybe it feels very down. Maybe it feels very sad. Sadness is part of life. It's going to be there, right? You might notice that whatever feeling flows through your heart can handle it. Your heart can flow with it. There is no feeling that is bigger than your capacity to feel it. And that's amazing, because some of these feelings are incredibly strong, overwhelming, right? If you're feeling that, you stay with your breath. Really work your breath. This is why I've given you these steps. That will carry you through, and the strength of your breath gives you a very powerful ship to navigate this stormy seas, if they are stormy. Hopefully they're very calm, but you never know, right? As you breathe, think of the things that matter deeply to you. Think of the people that you care about, the people that you love. Breathe in, and you are receiving that energy, that love, that revitalization, that elixir of life from the entire universe. And breathing out, you are expressing yourself. Your voice is being heard. You are putting your spirit out into the world, your unique energy. And by placing the breath in balance, in rhythm, we're doing both of these sides, the receptive side and the expressive side. We're doing that in a balanced fashion, because when we give out too much energy, then we get burned out, we get exhausted, we get hopeless. Because hope is an energy. But when we don't express enough, right, when we don't give enough, then there's frustration, there's the longing to contribute, to build something, to speak the truth, to manifest. We all have that longing. We cannot just receive, we must also give. And who says, right? Well, your own heart says that, right? I mean, well, I shouldn't presume. I don't know what your heart is saying, but my heart is saying that loud and clear a lot of the time, right? It's saying, you have something to give. Give it. I feel enormous frustration when I'm not, when I feel like I'm not, for whatever reason. In what do you put your hope? Where do you put your faith? What do you truly believe in? Now, that's not mine to say to you, right? That is yours to discover within you, right? I can pose the question. As you breathe, try to keep your breath in the practice that we've gone through. Deep, slow, rhythmic, heart-centered. As you breathe, just consider that question, right? Where do I place my faith? What do I look to when things feel really tough? When it feels like there's no hope, what do I look to? One of the things that we're working on here in a meditation practice is to have these inner experiences, right? To have an experience of yourself, your heart, your spirit, your soul. To have that as such a real experience. It's not an idea. It's not something you read in a book. It's something you have felt. And to have enough of those experiences so that it becomes very real. That you know who you are, you know your inner world, your inner journey, that you know your heart, you know your connection with a life around, with the infinite, with the eternal, the perfect, the one being that is your true nature. We get so fixated on our limitations and our flaws and our mistakes and foibles that we forget that our nature is perfect and unlimited. Because we're so focused on the outer world, right? The outer world is limited. Our strength is limited. Our influence is limited. But when we turn within, we find something rather different. But it takes work to discover that, right? It takes a repeated effort. I mean, that's what it takes on average, right? I mean, maybe you're having that experience right now, first time you're meditating, and it's blowing your doors off. That happens. That absolutely happens. Use your breath to cultivate the ground. Allow the seeds to sprout. and the flowers will bloom. Do not resist any thought. Do not resist any feeling. Maybe you're having some thoughts that are not very hopeful. You maybe are saying to yourself, damn it, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. Why can't I just stay on topic and follow the meditation? Every experience that you have has value, has meaning, has purpose. Don't fight it. Use your concentration to keep your breath deep, slow, rhythmic, and heart-centered. Now give yourself more power. Give your breath more power by making your breath full as well. That means you really engage your abdominal muscles on the exhalation. You squeeze out as much breath as you possibly can while keeping your breath rhythmic, keeping your breath smooth, keeping your body still. You know, the muscles in your abdomen are going to be moving, right? But keeping the rest of your body still. And then on the inhalation, really let your belly expand, and then allow your chest to expand as well. So you're no longer just doing deep diaphragmatic breathing, you're also first bringing the breath into the belly and then expanding that all the way up into the chest, and really taking a full breath, but at the same time controlling it, making sure that it's not ragged, still smooth, and flowing like a mighty river. When you really develop this full, rhythmic, heart-centered breath, it is just unbelievably powerful. Keep that focus, and then whatever comes up, you breathe into it. Our hearts go through life and get wounded. That happens. So when you meditate on your heart, you're going to feel some pain. That's inevitable. You know, it's not all going to be pain. There's joy in there too. There's everything is there. But your breath gives you the strength to feel it all. I'll tell you for myself, I've had meditations where I felt like I felt so many things. I felt so much. There was just so much intensity of feeling that afterwards I felt like I lived a lifetime during that meditation. Life is in a process of change. Consider that, right? We often feel hopeless when we feel stuck, when we feel stagnant, because we have such a longing to move forward. We have such a deep, fundamental desire to develop, to reach toward our potential. And when we feel like we're not doing that, it's worse than death. You make your breath powerful and full, and you will feel that flow of change. Because that is what life is, right? Life is change. Tap into the power within you, and you'll feel that sense that You throw your energy in the direction that you choose, in the way that seems to you better, in the way that you're longing to grow. And see if that doesn't result in a breakthrough of some kind. All right, we'll end our meditation there. Move your body a little bit and just turn your consciousness to the, I don't know, to the limited and away from the unlimited, I guess.
Back to your finite self, everyone. Oh, goodness. Spiritual humor. I don't know if anyone else gets it. Just me and Asatar. Hopefully not. Oh, Asatar, thank you so much for that meditation. I really liked when you talk. I liked the whole thing, but when you spoke about um, the intensity that you can experience within a meditation, so it really resonated with me, and I think that's one of the things about coming into our hearts. We really meet the intensity. Like if you think about how much we do to try to avoid our own emotions on a regular basis,
Yeah,
or push them down or make them less or manageable, really. Um, and why do we feel the need to do that? Because our heart's energy is extremely powerful, and we feel it. We feel it in the
yeah,
emotion and the fluxes that it can take. But through these techniques and through your breath, you can actually really meet that intensity. And there's something about it. It's like ripe with life. And there's something about being able to breathe into that and breathe with that that allows the recreation process to happen within yourself. And that the recreation process is constant. We think of everything as being fixed, like, oh, we finally made it to this point in humanity. We don't know. I really enjoyed reading the book Homo Deus. Harari is the author, and it's just like this concept that humans can evolve past where we are now. Like even like we think of everything as so fixed and so stagnant, and we think of ourselves like that too, especially when we come up against our limitation.
mm-hmm.
Um, but um, but within these meditations and within the power of your heart, within the power of your own emotion, you can actually utilize that emotion to recreate yourself constantly. So I really felt that in the meditation that you were leading, and it felt like almost like peaceful, like, oh, I can relax a little bit into that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think there is a certain part of ourselves that does relax, right? Like because like our mental faculties are like so called upon to just get through external life, right? I mean, like there's so much we have to like pay attention to mentally, right? And when we sit still, close our eyes, focus on something simple that's within us, right? Our breath, our heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain way that like a lot of this mental energy can just relax, right? And in a way that
Yeah.
it doesn't even when we sleep necessarily, right? Because, like sometimes our minds are like still going, in a certain way there, right? Like sometimes it's concentrating very intently, but on something inner, right? That frees your
Mm-hmm.
mind to take a broader, look at life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It reminds me of like it reminds me of just like this ability for us to dive into the depths. Because like so we're talking about restoring hopefulness, right? And to me, it's like that is the nature of us. It is like you started the class off saying, it's life itself. It's this desire to create or recreate. It's this natural pulse to move forward, to evolve. Um, it's one of the most like innate senses that we have. And so when we tip over to the scale where we're in hopelessness or we're in depression or whatnot, it's not like the natural self. And I really think it's because like at that moment, it's partially because we're avoiding the depth of our heart. And you really need to be able to go into those spaces. And so when you close your eyes, when you go inside, those spaces can show themselves to you. And it's a good thing for them to show themselves to you, because then you become familiar with what's going on. You become aware of what's happening.
Right.
And being in those, like being in that dark space, you can think of like a seed, like deep in the soil, and all the turning inside that seed that happens, all the turning that happens inside before a spring comes forth. And what does it do?
Hmm.
It reaches toward the light. That spring is reaching toward the light. Um, but it does, we don't really know what that seed goes through in that deep soil where it's starting to mix, where it's starting to turn. And so some of these times when we come against a wall, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be any less rich. Like there's times when that is exactly when a whole new life is being born. A whole new life is being created.
Right.
Um, yeah.
I mean, just to continue with your
So
metaphor, right? If the seed did not go into the ground where it's dark, right, then it wouldn't be able to grow, right? So it's like
yeah,
sometimes those periods of darkness are very important,
yeah,
and the growth does come out of it, right? So it's not to
yeah,
put down, like if you don't feel hope at the moment, that's not to
yeah.
put you down and make you feel bad, right? I mean,
Mm-mm,
we're just
mm-mm,
acknowledging this is an energy, this is a rising and falling, right? But also,
mm-mm,
it's natural to have this sense of inner hope, right? So, we want to
mm-mm,
treat it like, we want to take it seriously, right? And say, you
mm-mm.
know, um, it doesn't feel good to be hopeless, right? I mean, like that's just not nice.
No,
Yeah.
no, no. But it's like a trust in the fact that the dawn will come. It's a
Yeah.
trust in the fact that the seed will turn and the spring will come.
Right.
But I also think it's like if we get stuck in that space for too long, it's because we're not feeling what's going on in the depth.
Right.
So we're gonna meditate on that right now. Hurrah! Hooray! Meditate.
The
We're going
depths is
into the
a very
dark
beautiful place.
space.
Yeah. Don't fear the darkness. That's
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay, so I'm gonna do this in a way, it might be just too much information. I'll try to keep us all together in the meditation, but I'm gonna really be involving quite a bit of technique in this next meditation. And just to say it out loud right now, the main primary the places that I'm focusing on are the third chakra, which you can reference back at our old videos, and the third eye. And so these two chakras are connected with each other, okay? And I'll divulge that more throughout the meditation. So we're gonna start in the depth. So go ahead, take some deep breaths. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. You can always open your eyes if it becomes too overwhelming, just as an option. And there's no wrong way to move toward your ideals. No effort on the path is ever wasted. That's the primary teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, the yogic text. No effort on the path is ever wasted. So it's not about being perfect, it's about showing up, seeing, and accepting so that you can make a decision on what you really need. What is really calling you, and how to move toward that. And so begin to breathe with a fire breath, which is going to be in through a slightly opened up mouth and out through your nose. And you want to make sure to breathe deep, full belly breath, something to the cadence of 8 heartbeats in and 8 heartbeats out. In other words, slower than you might think and deeper than you might realize. The technique is something that will come over time. So again, we're not letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. We're just really diving in to see how much fuller can I make my breath. And how much can I actually get in touch with the depth of my being. So again, that's deep breathing in through the mouth, slightly opened up mouth. And exhaling out your nose. And on your next inhalation, imagine that your breath as energy moves right into the pit of your stomach. So it's that part of you that gets tied up or anxious or starts to really speak to you and have an actual visceral response anytime that something important comes up. And it's that same part of you that is very much at the very bottom of your heart, the depths of your heart. When you inhale, breathe into that space and really feel that space, that part of you, the depth of you, almost like if your whole life was a seed, it would be buried in this very deep, rich, quiet part of you. As you exhale out your nose, you let the energy of your breath rise from your solar plexus, up from the depth of your heart, up into your body. And even though we're working toward that rising, that stoking of the flame inside, I want you to very much stay in your depth. Just feeling what's there. Becoming aware of what's there. Whatever's there today, whatever's inside the depth of your heart today. It takes great courage for you to even meet it in this moment, to really be that mirror for your own self. And your breath, every time you breathe into that space, it's helping you. It's helping you to really face, to really meet all the energy turning and turning and turning in the depths of your being. This potential that hasn't come into fruition yet. This knowing of what needs to happen but hasn't happened. So really feel that as you inhale into your solar plexus, into the depths of your heart. Really feel your turning. And then on your next exhalation, imagine and feel how that potential starts to rise up within you. If we feel sad about something, or if we feel any type of quote unquote like a negative emotion about something, it just means it's important to us one way or another. It's an indicator, it's a sign, it's a guidance, it's a guiding light in its own right, because it says, this matters to me. And so you don't want to allow yourself to just get stuck in that space like, this is all that I am, this is all that I am. No, this is what you're feeling, and you can process that with every breath that you take. So let yourself process anything that you need to process in this moment. Accepting all that is inside of your own heart, all that's there. And then as you exhale, allowing this feeling of the spring, a new hope to rise from all the turning. A new hope. Do I dare to even hope? Do I dare to let love move through my heart so much that I'm able to hope? A new hope is born in my heart. Feel that. See if you can feel that rising from your depths up with your next exhalation. That new hope, that next step. That next step. I want to invite you on your next exhalation to move the energy from your depth now all the way up through your heart, and even all the way up above your heart, rising even further to your throat, and all the way up out your eyes. So it takes a tremendous amount of breath to really move the energy that way. And so we're starting from our depth of our heart, inhaling. And then exhaling the new hope springing up. Exhaling that all the way up through our heart, through our throat, and out our eyes. Letting your hope change the way that you see everything that's before you. And then we forget again and we dive back to the depths of what it is we really desire, our deepest desires and our depth of ourself. And we stoke those flames. Exhaling all the way up and out your eyes. And changing the way that you see things. Seeing them even more, understanding the conditions before you even more because you weren't afraid to look at them. But now you're seeing them through the lens of your ever-rising aspiration. Hope is a horse that we ride on. It's something that we ride on towards our destination. Hope is a wave of life. It carries us. And instead of seeing something that's broken or an obstacle or how it relates to some reason we failed in the past, instead of seeing it through those lights, through the light of failure, through the light of fear, we now look at it through a light of love and a light of hope, knowing that the conditions will change because all things change. And if we focusing on that which we really want to create, everything will mold around the ideal that we contain within our vision. So long as that we just keep reaching towards it, no matter how many failures. Failure is something to be indifferent toward because you know what you want. You know what's burning inside of the truth of you. And as you're ready, go ahead, move your body and open up your eyes. Mm.
Hmm. Your
Oh,
energy is in a really good place, Leah.
thank you.
I hope everybody's feeling that. And that's well, yeah, great meditation. And hope is a horse that we ride upon.
It'll just carry you.
It'll
It's
carry you.
easier.
Yeah.
It's easier that way.
People sometimes ask me
Mm,
this, like I'm kind of known for this on the internet for being like hopeful or whatever, or being having optimism.
mm,
And what gives you that, And I always am like, if I say things, if I say, well, here's some hopeful developments, then people inevitably say, that sounds kind of thin. Like there's all these bad things happening, like what? But because it is something that comes from within you, right? So you can't really
Yeah.
point to something outside. It's probably not going to resonate. I mean, maybe it will with some people or whatever, but like, if it's not coming from within, those things they won't hit you as particularly hopeful.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Well, thank you all for joining
Mm.
us this evening with some lovely meditations. And if you'd like to support the show, go to our Patreon page. We have the link in the description. And, we're here every week live so that we can catch the vibe together.
Mm. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, morning, or afternoon.
Whatever the case.
And
See you
just
next.
remember, yeah, that whole cycle of the day is proof of constant change. So there you go. All right. Bye,
Take hope,
everyone.
friends.